What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde here from Blue and Gold. Right after Notre Dame's 45-32 victory over North Carolina. I think the clock hit 000 about 5 minutes before we went live. So this is truly a live post-game reaction. Lots to discuss. Tim, in our Friday video, we talked about, man, that under 55, or the over under is at 55. Yeah, Notre Dame almost hit that itself. High scoring affair, tons to talk about. But Tim, we'll just give you the floor first. Your initial reaction to Notre Dame's 13-point win over North Carolina.
Well, coming in, it was definitely, I think we were all, out there in the blue and gold world, a little nervous, a little nerve-wracking. Where's this team going to go? After, coming into this game, getting ready for a bye, Brigham Young, all those things coming up ahead. And could Notre Dame get into the 30s? Could they get 31 points? Has been a winning mark for them in the past during the Kelly years. And yeah, they're an inch away from getting in the 50s today, if not nearly 60 with another driver, the missed field goal. So outstanding football game. We're going to get into this. The offense was efficient, aggressive, physical up front. Really, really good offensive performance after that first 3 and out. And defensively, they attacked Drake May. They got after him. Hey, they got a turnover. First play of the third quarter, right? Got a turnover. So a lot of positives to go on the road. To go on the road as an underdog, as we talked. And Notre Dame has not had a lot of these. They beat Wisconsin last year in the Shamrock Series. They were a slight underdog. And before that, I remember talking in our game, in our preview last time. The last time Notre Dame went on the road as an underdog and won was the 2013 Shamrock game. So, in the last time they've won on the road at a college stadium, 2012 Oklahoma. So, Notre Dame hasn't had a lot of these in the past. So, this is a big win as a road underdog. And congrats to Coach Freeman for rallying these troops since that the mess against Marshall. So is this something positive moving forward? Let's talk about the offense, because they did a lot of what they did against Cal. So I think they've really gotten themselves in a groove offensively these last 2 weeks. And now they're going to hone into it as we get ready for Brigham Young here.
Yeah, for sure, Tim. Pull up the numbers here.
Oh, it's amazing.
Tim, this is such a media thing is to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it.
Sure.
Was this more Notre Dame's dominant performance offensively? Was it more good on Notre Dame or bad on North Carolina? Because I think you can truly make an argument for both, because, Notre Dame's offense was outstanding, but yeah, North Carolina's defense is very uninspiring.
Yeah, there's a Mac Brown who's had some amazing recruiting classes the last few years. It's like, what's going on over there? It's, Gene Chizik helped them win a national championship at Texas, comes back out of retirement. It's bad. There's no doubt about it. It's bad. But Notre Dame could have came out and what if Drew Pine was like last week in the first quarter, starting 0 for 6 or whatever, hitting the ball in the dirt and being nerves and stuff like that. They didn't do that. They came out after that in the first 3 and out, by the way, it was just a couple bat downs by the D line to start. So he gets that ball up. Who's to say they don't go down and start that game up 7-0 right away? But North Carolina's bad, but Notre Dame did show up. They did show up, and kudos to them for taking advantage of this. And these are some of the things we talked about, where this is a get-right game for them to go out there and get comfortable, confidence, build off of those last 3 quarters from Cal. And they totally did that. They did not come out here, licking their wounds. We're 1-2, boo-hoo-hoo. No, they came out here like, hey, you kind of felt like it was an attitude like, we got a fresh start now after Cal. And we're Notre Dame. Let's go out there. Let's flex our muscles and let's take it to these guys. And they did that. So that's a huge positive for them and Coach Freeman and the way this football team came out and played today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Tim. Lots to discuss today. We'll have we have topics. We're going to take your questions. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If for some reason you are not yet we hit 18,000 last week. So very excited about that. We went from 17 to 18,000 in about a month. So really appreciate the support. And if you have any comments or questions you want answered right away, please just go ahead and drop a super chat, and we'll get to that right away. Of all of the things to talk about from this game, Tobias Merriweather is like in the 800s for me. I mean, that's just I don't really think there's anything to talk about there. And then Annie Davis says that Drew Pine ain't bad, is he? So let's talk about Pine. It was after the abysmal first quarter against Cal, I thought he settled in and played solid Drew Pine ball. And you look at the stats: 24 of 34, 289 yards and 3 touchdowns, and even got 20 yards on the ground as well. I mean, it was as good as I think that's Drew Pine ball. Like, this offense, this is what success looks like for Drew Pine. It's the occasional deep ball, which we didn't see last week, Tim.
Yep.
I mean, that ball to Styles, as we were texting about, he was very open, but that was a dime nonetheless. And he was super efficient and took what the defense gave him, which was a lot. But you still have to, like, there were so many unforced errors for this Notre Dame offense last week, especially early in that first quarter, whether it was botched snaps or false starts or throwing the ball on the ground. You have to execute when you're given those opportunities, and Notre Dame did today.
Well, yes. I mean, look what on offense. I think they only had one penalty on offense. The Blake Fisher just falling back on his heels for 5 yards. I don't think the offense had any other penalties outside of that, unless I'm wrong. Because I know they had a PI on defense. So very efficient. I mean, this whole game was efficiency. What was he? 71%. Exactly what he was last week. They threw the ball more, and his numbers stayed the same as they did against Cal. They took a couple more deep shots. They took three in the first half, and you hit one. So, and they hit one for a big touchdown, which as we were texting, me, you, and Goolsby, is that great read by Drew Pine, because he's reading that safety. They're in quarters. The outside backer, the nickels, outside leverage, the safety's inside leverage. He's reading that safety. The safety reads the run fake. He's flat-footed for his run fits. Boom, he goes right over the top of him. Perfect throw. But efficient. I mean, I say out here charted these pass plays. It's just like, a crosser, quick hitch, a quick out, the couple wheels that they hit today, a bunch of crossers, some quick outs to Styles, quick out the Mayor, just on and on and on.
Do you can you have up on the screen the passing progression as well? I mean, this 34-yard, can you jog my memory on this 34-yard one right before this touchdown to Logan Diggs? Do you remember this in the first quarter?
That play was literally like the same play where they.
I don't remember it. Can you jog my memory?
It was a wheel route again. It was a wheel route that came open out of the backfield. It's almost like the Buckner to Tyree touchdown last year against Toledo.
The same one that they scored on the throwback as well.
Exactly. And the throw, the one they hit Diggs with on the touchdown was just same thing. They kept setting up these running back flare routes, these swings that turned into wheels. Excellent. They hit the touchdown. But that one, it was out of the backfield, dumped it to him, and he ran down the field real nice. So really efficient from Drew Pine. And, people could sit and talk. Hey, I was happy with his performance because that's who he is. He's not – and it's frustrating when you go back to Marshall. They want, because that's going back because they got so much criticism for being in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends for 75% of the Buckeye game. Freeman comes out in his press conference against Marshall. We're going to air it out. We're going to be aggressive and go crazy. And they chuck it 7-8 times against Marshall for nothing. And it's like, no, just be who you are. You don't have blazers outside. You got to be efficient. You got to dink and dunk, set it up to hit them over the top. And that's what they did there. So I thought it was a hell of a game. I know I texted you and Gould. I thought Reese, and I know Mike said this as well. I thought he was working his butt off. And anyone that wants to question Tommy Reese, hey, you question him all you want. But after last week and this week, every single play is a new world. It is a new formation, a new shift, a new motion, a new something. He is working his tail off to do whatever we can with these 5 skill guys he has. And he's busting his butt, I feel.
I mean, we've talked about Tommy. We're fine with having unpopular opinions, Tim. You
Yes,
know that is. I'll take an L and but stand my ground. It's never a popular opinion when you're not starting the season well and
sure.
you're saying that the offensive coordinator is doing a pretty darn good job.
He was
But I
horrible.
think Reese, and I haven't been Reese's biggest fan, but I think that not that I don't like him, I just again have not been his biggest fan. He's been outstanding. And I thought today, outside, and someone commented this as well, Tom
Working.
says, only bad call was the QB sneak. I thought,
Yeah,
why would you
that was
run a
usual.
5,
Exactly.
5'10", 5'11", 190-pound? I don't know how big Drew Pine is, but I mean, Pine couldn't go anywhere. Pine's not pushing, Josh Lugg or Zeke Correll, poor
No,
Estimate comes in and picks him up and tries to take him. But
I know.
other than that, Tim, I mean, the game plan was flawless. This is what we wanted to see
With
when
Buckner.
Tyler Buckner was the quarterback,
Yes.
because I mean, I don't know if there's any throws out there that we saw today that Buckner couldn't make. I think Pine is a more consistent passer than Buckner. That's my opinion. Folks can disagree with me. That's okay. Like that one crosser to Mare,
Oh,
I
like
think it was
towards the
about
bench.
20 yards.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
that's awesome.
absolutely perfect.
Right
I love Drew Pine in the 10 to 15-yard range. But otherwise, I mean, this offense with Buckner running the ball, it's like, man, how exciting that could be. But he's out for the season. But again, going back to Tommy, I mean, this game plan, I mean, running the football and then taking some shots and taking what the defense gives you. I mean, that was executed perfectly, Tim.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the game plan. I mean, you have a game plan, and coaches that are successful take advantage of the guys they have. We use my wife's from Boston, so I'm mandatory a Patriots fan. So it is what it is. And, Brady obviously had Moss and whatnot. But as we know, once again, not comparing Brady to anything Notre Dame does, but Brady had his hallmark is the quick outs, the quick slants, the quick dinks, just moving the chains and then take a shot every now and then. It's, completely different at the NFL, but it's the same type of philosophy, so to speak, with Tom Brady. And that's what they're like kind of doing that with Pine. Like, this is what we're really successful with. Hey, and if North Carolina is going to play that far off coverage, what are they scared about? So, yeah, you're going to throw quick outs to Lorenzo Styles. And, the announcers, did a great job talking about how the trips man just buzzing to the flat. Boom, dink and dunk it. They want to sit too high and play quarters coverage, which is just a form of man, pattern read man coverage. Go for it. And that's what they did. And 70+%. And you take away the 2 batted balls, but and a couple, he was pretty effective outside of a couple on one crosser. And then, a couple deep shots. He missed 2 of them, and he got 1 more touchdown.
He threw the one to Mare in the dirt. When he was open on the sideline.
Well, that's the killer. Real quick before the QB sneak, it's like, because the 2 plays before, he has Styles open and he short throws it on a mini scramble. His knees down, or Styles catches it and he runs like crazy. And then the one that Diggs, I thought was a bad spot. You could tell they didn't give him a good enough spot before the sneak. And sometimes with QB sneaks, you get frustrated. You're like, screw it, get me an inch, and they didn't get stuff. But hell of an offensive game plan. It really was. And they took advantage of their offenses. They're just starting to do, they're just going scoop right, scoop left. They're doing the cut plays, the split zone. I've always called it cut, where you're going from one side to the other with a fullback or a tight end, split zone, whatever the heck you want to call it. They're getting really good at that. And the double teams are just, they're just pushing bodies, really getting physical is what they're doing.
All right. Yep. Good stuff, Mr. Hyde. And Bobby says, enjoying the enthusiasm and analysis. Seems like it's been a while.
Sure.
Yeah. 45 points. The Notre Dame PR account is tweeting out, this is Notre Dame's first time having, 280+ yards rushers in the same game since like 2017. Like, that was an offensive performance, that was very much needed. And Tim, we talked about all this week, both scenarios here. If Notre Dame wins, such great momentum going into the bye week. But if Notre Dame loses, there's so many questions. So, is that now that's what we talked about? Now we're here. Is that how you're feeling now?
Oh my God, huge. You cannot you cannot undersell that whatsoever. If Notre Dame came out here, laid an egg, Pine comes out here and he's 55%, and they only run the ball for 145 yards, and they're just struggling, and it's the game's in the 20s, so to speak, and May slinging it and having fun. I mean, we haven't even talked about the defense yet. I mean, they just took him out of it, made him uncomfortable, kind of like what they did with Sam Howell in 2020. Excuse me. But huge pressure, because now they're even. That's what we talked about now. They're 0-0. And that's the way Freeman's got to look at this. You're not 2-2. You're not going to a New Year's 6. You're not doing it. You're 0-0. How are we going to play these last 8 games? You know, and we're going to have some ranked teams up there. We're going to have possibly 2 top 5 teams that we have to play at the end of the year. So you got to wipe the slate clean, start from scratch. They got a new quarterback, fixing some things on D. The O-line's coming together, all those types of. I mean, this is huge. I'm seriously, Mike, this is huge. Because if you're 1-3, what do these seniors start to think? What are these freshmen that aren't playing starting to think? It just becomes whining and complaining, because we started the season number 5 is what these players and coaches would be thinking. And there could have been some infighting, and now it's regroup, guys, and let's just focus on what we are after 4 games. And I think they're going to do that moving forward.
Yeah, Tim, we're going to talk defense, because there was a lot of bad, but North Carolina is one of the most potent offenses in the country. You know, like it's, you know, if you would have told me that North Carolina would scored 32 points before this game started, I would have said, all right, that's a loss for the Fighting Irish. But
yes,
the Notre Dame offense was kind of that unknown going in. Like, how good is that unit going to be? And they definitely stood up. So we've talked Pine, kind of talked about Reese and the overall game plan offensively. Tim, who else really stood out for you in this one for Notre Dame on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I mean, I can't wait to go back and watch the old line. I mean, they just were I mean, what are the final numbers on the offensive line? What is I mean, they were just mauling them.
Yeah, Notre Dame ran for 287 on 51 carries.
That's bully ball. I mean, that's just like, I'm going to just slap you in the face and just keep pushing you around. I mean, that's bully ball is what it is. That's
6 yards per carry, sack adjusted rush yarding, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, what's funny is there was they had a stat early. It's like, because sometimes it feels like Estime has a lot of carries, because when he's out there, he is active. And there was one part in the third quarter, he was only on he had 6 carries. I'm like, my gosh, they're not feeding him. And then once NC was tired, they just fed him like money. He was like a bowling ball out there. You can't say enough about Michael Mayer, just how aggressive he was. You felt like he put it on himself. I just felt that in his body language, the way his demeanor was out there. His energy was just like, get me the damn football, put me in tough spots. There was a couple third down plays where they're just draped over him, and he's just making plays. He was the perfect security blanket, as they say, right, in the press world. I mean, he was perfect for him. Styles, the great route he had some beautiful catch routes. No drops, right? It seemed like a clean football game. I'll be curious to see, are they going to give Estime the game ball for the way he ran over the course of the game? I think Pine did the fight song last week for his efficiency. I thought he played his butt off. And defensively, Riley Mills was just a tank, playing a lot of 3-tech, because they did that nickel 4-man front a lot today. So just really excited to look forward and go back and see what, how the O-line grades out as well, because there's some dudes up there playing their tails off.
Hey, Bobby Ray, definitely appreciate the super chat, and
nice picture.
The avatar thing is great. Hope everyone gets a look at that. Yeah, cheers, Bobby. Definitely appreciate the
look at Chris Tyree again, Mike. Look at his.
So Estime 17 for 134 and 2 touchdowns. Tyree 15 rushes, 80 yards and a score. And Tyree also caught 4 passes for 24 yards.
Yes.
And then Diggs back in there, 10 carries for 50 yards. Got a couple super chats that have come in. And we'll get to those quick. But Tim, I felt like this you have three really good running backs. You want to keep them all involved, right? They all have, I mean, Tyree's a junior, and then Estime and Diggs are sophomores. So you have a lot of eligibility there. So you want to keep all these guys happy and get them the ball. I feel like this rotation, I thought it was really good. Diggs seems to get a lot of the first couple drives. You saw Diggs in there the most. And then you bring in Tyree, and then Estime really did his work, Tim, in the second half.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's just the defense is worn down. Give him the football.
No, exactly. That's what I was saying. There's a part in the third quarter where they had him, he's got 6 carries. He ended up with 17. So
Tim, let me interrupt you. I don't see a single on this rushing play log for Estime, unless the stats are messed up. Not a single first quarter carry. He only got 3 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
It's 6 in the third quarter, and then you got 8 in the fourth. So really that's smart. I mean, he is someone you want fresh against a tired defense, Tim.
Oh gosh, yeah, and just running that ball. That's why. Oh, it's a killer for the young man to fumble the ball on that millimeter yard line. It's like that. I mean, that drive was him, and it's like, oh, you don't need to spin down there. Just go down and live to play another down, as they say. So that was a killer on the fumble. Oh man, which is funny because I missed it because I was setting up for the show. I run down, I'm like, oh, they didn't score, and I see the play. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on Estime. But yeah, the 3-headed monster. I liked what they did in Cal. I kind of like not having Diggs out there because I thought those two got in a flow. It seemed like with three's tough, to rotate at times, and Diggs was really good outside. When he runs that inside stuff, he's still not physical. He's slow at the point of attack. They got him out. There's one great toss, by the way, for your boy Joe Alt, where he pulls around, just crushes the corner out of bounds on one of those toss plays they did, which was awesome. But yeah, 3 is tough. And if they get in a rhythm and they kind of know what they want, like you're saying, Mike, early in the game, okay. All right, if they have a plan, they have a philosophy, and then the second half kind of do what you need to do, with it and find the guy basically in the fourth quarter, especially when you're up. When you're up, you don't need to rotate. Let's find the bell cow and let's go win the damn football game.
Yeah, when Estime fumbled that ball, I was thinking to myself, is everyone going to critique Audric Estime like they do Drew Pine when he makes a mistake? I mean, poor Drew Pine, man. The guy just gets so much crap. But hey, for now, after 71% completion percentage, 289, 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers, he's in the good graces for everybody right now.
Well, it's going to be interesting moving forward because now there is obviously 2 full games with him, and he's been 70%. And really, the game plans, have been very, very similar outside. But they did take a couple shots today. So if they're going to get more press coverage, I've not watched any BYU film, so I'm really curious to see what they've done. I know they're playing a juggernaut of a schedule, so I'm really looking forward to watching some of them and see what they do. They've been a kind of a traditional 3-3 stack, press, blitz type of concept in the past. I saw them last year getting ready for the Virginia game. They're horrendous on D, so I'm kind of curious to see what they do. I know Oregon torched them, so
there's definitely reason to, I'm not saying he's a Heisman contender or anything, it's not going to be pretty at all times with Drew Pine. But Tim, we have some.
If you're efficient, Mike, just real quick, like you're saying, if you're efficient, if you're constantly being efficient, I mean, he's and that's what's awesome. Reese is up there. I mean, there's one play I know I texted you guys like where he hand off and there's no threat from the quarterback. The DN just crushes poor Logan Diggs. And you can tell he's frustrated in the camera where Reese is like, what the hell are you doing? It's an RPO. Mayor's wide open in the flat. And those are the things that he's going to just keep getting coached up on. Like, make sure you're reading the whole system through. And if he's doing that with this offense, these motions, the RPOs, some of the stuff that they're doing off of things, this is what a lot of people thought we were going to see with Buckner and not the NFL style 12 personnel they did so much of. So I think this is very a comfort level for Drew Pine. And if they're going to move forward doing this, teams are going to have to press somewhere. And if you do that, things are going to open, more wheel routes, screens, things of that nature. I think Reese has in his package. He's just waiting to use it. So really curious to see what Brigham Young's going to bring to the table.
All right, Sam, let's get through some super chats here. Appreciate all these. Andrew says, Tim, if you were the head coach, would you give Mayer the week off? When do you try to preserve him for the draft?
Well, I mean, the draft's in April, so they're not preserving him. You got to win football games. He's a team captain. The way Michael Mayer played today, he don't give a damn about April. Now, I'm sure he does, but he doesn't give a damn about April. He's trying to win. He's trying to be the first team All-America. Heck, they did a jet sweep with him. He's probably pissed off, excuse my French. Brock Bowers went 80 on a jet sweep today. So he's like, give me the jet sweep. He got 7, but no, I would give him the week off. Heck yeah, I would make this week fundamentals. I know Freeman talked about, hey, we're going to go 4 days, which I love because Kelly was always like, lift weights, run some laps. We're going to practice a day and a half, go home.
They also wouldn't recruit. So if you're going to do that, man, at least like recruit all week.
No, exactly. They would go home for 5 days or something. He would, and then they'd all come back late Sunday night, have a team dinner. I love that Freeman's going to go 4 days. We're going to work. Because like he said, we're young in a lot of spots. And I'm sure the older guys, Foskey, the Adamiolas, hey, he's going to sit in an ice bath, hang out, relax, kind of use this as a mini spring ball for a handful of these young guys to get them ready for the second half of the season, because some of those young guys are going to be needed, which, by the way, the last 2 weeks, speaking of young guys, Rubio has been out there for a couple plays the last couple weeks. Love that guy. He just looks nice. So I'm really, really hoping we see more of him coming forward, in that front 7. And Colley got in a couple plays today and instantly looked nice. And it's like, get 10 out there. So I don't think I saw Tuihalamaka any, but I did see, Colley.
I do believe he played. I want to say Tuihalamaka played. You'll see it.
Gotcha. I was charged so much for the offense because I knew tonight and moving forward this week's going to be about Reese, Pine, and all that stuff. I was just spot shouting the defense a heck of a lot, to be honest.
All right, Tim. Do you remember who my Audric Estime comparison was for which back I think he reminds me of? Do you remember the summer? It wasn't a Bama back. Leonard Fournette was.
Oh, yeah, Fournette. There you go.
With that number 7. So, yes. ND Nation, appreciate the super chat. He says, reminds me of a Bama back monster.
I just want to see Estime break a 55-yarder. I just want to see do what Fournette did.
Him rumbling and stumbling down the field.
Yes, then it'll be Fournette.
I am one ND gal says fumble schmumble Audric for Audric for Heisman in 2023. How about 2022? It's just started up now. Appreciate the super chat. And Maltavia says, do you think Tommy Reese is more proactive or reactive? And do appreciate the super chat.
I think he's he's a combination of both. He's reacting. He's definitely reacting on what they're giving him, and he's building that into Pine. But I think he's very proactive in that he's just not coming out saying, hey, we're just going to line up with 2 tight ends. We're going to be 20-20 with 13 per. When he's doing 13 personnel like he did a couple times today, it was a situation. The last 2 games, he's done certain things for situations. I think he's been extremely proactive. And we have seen more trips. We've seen more doubles, a true 2x2 with Mayer motioning. We've seen a lot of trips. Last week, there was a half a dozen or more bunch formations, wide bunch. Today with Mayer, we saw him tight end. He only did a couple times last week. I call dead, where he's alone all by himself, trips away, where he's the only guy there. He was standing up, walked in, got down in his stance. I think he's being very aggressive. And I'm telling you, go back, rewatch the game and just watch it again and just look at how much movement's going on. He is trying to be extremely aggressive and make these guys think. Going back to the Styles play, those safeties are trying to figure out what to do. Boom, he hits them. The Logan Diggs on the wheel route. Look at the safeties. They're all turned around, a strip formation, turned around, trying to communicate with one another. The ball snapped. The guy that's in line, the number 3 guy, is still looking at his buddy, never sees the wheel. So he's being really aggressive with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, see, something like this, Agent 49er, it says I've been hard on Reese, but today showed some creativity. I think he's been showing creativity all fall, but it's not just about creativity as a play caller. It's about calling things at the right time. I mean, how about this, Tim? Let me pop this on the screen. This tweet from Patrick Angle. Patrick Angle, Blue and Gold. He says, in full service academy mode, Notre Dame just went 75 yards on 12 plays and didn't throw a pass. You know what? That's not creative. Just running the ball, that's not creative. I don't give two craps about creative. How about let's move the football? Like, there was a lot of creativity, but I just felt like everything just made sense. Like, let's throw this throwback across the field against Diggs. Yeah. Like, just when it made sense, you run estimate. You're powering down the field, and then you play action. You hit Styles over the top. So it's not just about creativity. It's a lot of, just I'm not the Notre Dame offensive coordinator. So I who am I to, make these critiques, but it just seems to make a lot of sense.
No, I agree. I mean, this season is really two plays, I think. If they hit Lorenzo Styles to start the third quarter, 17-7. They're up 17-7 on Ohio State. Or maybe he gets tackled, they go down, but they're down in the red zone, they score. I mean, let's say they're up 17-7 if they hit Styles. And literally the biggest play of the season is right before halftime. They don't hit Lindsey. I mean, Lindsey's just running down the street by himself, going to get an ice cream, and ball's overthrown. And it's like, I was talking to some guys on the message board the last couple of days, is that play going to be the play? Because if they catch that, they're up. Buckner doesn't get hurt. They beat Marshall. All this Reese negativity is because they lost to Marshall. And everyone thought he was just running dive every single play. No, they took, 7-8 shots in that game. They didn't complete any. And the pick six it was horrible because you got Mayer wide open. It's like, why are you throwing that? Well, that was the situation at the time and exactly what happened, because they didn't hit stuff in the game. So Reese is not just lining up and double tight two backs and running Woody Hayes' 1968 offense at Ohio State. They have been trying to do things. They were not effective in the first two games whatsoever. And they have been this last two games. So it's amazing how things start to flip right away.
All right, Tim. Here's where we're going to go. We're going to go drive chart, super chats, then we're going to talk defense. So I love my drive charts, Tim. Like you said, 3 and out, a couple of by this Notre Dame offense, a couple of batted down passes. The second one, or maybe it was the first one, I can't remember, but Blake Fisher just totally whiffed. And then Drew Pine just had a defensive end right in his face. Missed field goal attempts, but then you got touchdown, field goal, touchdown.
Yeah.
And was this
that was the kneel? That was or the sneak? Was that the sneak?
Touchdown, fumble on the goal line,
kneel
the game out. That is one hell of an offense performance.
Yeah. I mean, that's 14 more points, Mike. If they don't get the inch there, and obviously the fumble, that's 14 more points. Someone said, Appalachian State scored 60 on them. Yeah, they scored 40 in the fourth quarter. That's how far down they were. And they just torched North Carolina coming back. Notre Dame scored 45. Like I said, a couple plays away, a couple inches away from them maybe scoring 60 today, and just a full-on 60-minute control game. This was very impressive.
Tim, I want to say something before we get the super chats on this team did this on a different game. Yes. So I don't sports gamble, but if I did, I would have looked at a game like the NFL last week. You had it was Monday night game, Eagles-Vikings. In week 1, the Eagles beat the Lions by 3 points, and the Vikings went out and smoked the Packers. So when those two teams meet on a Monday night, you're thinking, oh, you think the Vikings should probably win that. But each game is different. It's a different week to week. You can't look at football like that. That's just not how the sport works. I'll say it's like that a little bit more in college football, but things are different from week to week. That's just life. If it were a video game, that's how it can be in a video game. The best players just, and you're a good, with the controller, then you're going to do well. But yeah, this isn't a video game. Okay. Super chats, Tim.
Sure.
Starting 3 says, will you guys have a blue and gold tailgate in Allegiant Stadium? Where am I going to be?
I'll be in the Paris hotel. So no, I won't be there. But anyway.
I don't remember. What's the date for that game? Is that the 7th?
Yeah, 2 weeks, whatever it is.
I think I'm in Michigan. Yeah. I'm seeing CJ Carr that weekend.
My wife's at a wedding in Baltimore, and it's going to be me and the kids. So there you
go. No, I'm sure we'll have a blue and gold staff writer there or two, but unfortunately, it's not me. Void Walker says, great. When are we showing a weakness against a D? So now I think these next couple super chats are defensive. So
Sure.
That's good. He says, are we showing a weakness against a deep ball? And was that really a targeting against Bertrand? Nice to see you guys again. It's very nice to see you as well, Mr. Walker 2006. Yeah, maybe it was a targeting by the rules, but Tim, I don't know if you watch much basketball, but in the NBA, there's a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2. Yeah. The flagrant 1 is just a slap on the wrist. Flagrant 2 is you're out of the game. If you get 2 flagrants, you're out. Or in soccer, a yellow card. If you get 2 of them, you're out. There should be the same in college football, and it's honestly stupid that that's not the case. Like if you get, a targeting 1, 15 yards, and if you do get another targeting 1, you're out, for the rest of the game in the first half of whatever. But the way it is right now is stupid. And then, yeah, Tim, the deep ball,
just
they looked like Oklahoma State last year a little bit.
Oh man, well, yeah. I mean, and that's what's so frustrating as a football coach. What was it, 38-14 or something? You're absolutely mojo, and you just let the guy run 80 yards. Come on, Clarence. It's like Clarence Lewis. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then he goes out and gets beat on the 2-pointer, but they missed it, incomplete on that. That could sometimes, as they say, defense relaxing, which is, hey, I've been a D coordinator 90% of my life, so it drives me nuts where it's like defense, man, it's every single play. Every single play they're coming to attack you. So you got to have self-pride to go out there and dominate for 60 minutes, not just chill out. Oh, we're up by multiple touchdowns. But you want to get embarrassed and give up an 80-yarder? I'm sorry. That was like, what in the heck are you doing? You're a third-year starter, play like it, and you get torched for 80. The Cam Hart one? Seriously, what?
Near the end of the game there.
What are you doing? It's 4th and 21. He's trying to like cherry pick an out route. It's 4th and 21. Maybe he's not going to throw a 10-yard out. He's going to go deep. Bracey, they were starting to roll. It looked like they were starting to roll to a cover 3. Bracey's going to the middle. Cam Hart's got the deep outside third. The guy who caught the ball is his guy, and he's just chilling. Doesn't even take a step back. Frustrating. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Morrison got beat on? Did he get beat on one, or Mickey got a PI on one? Morrison got beat on a beautiful.
Here's the big passing plays more than 15 yards. Woo. North Carolina had 28, 43, 80, 23, 64. So,
43 I think was the Morrison one. But it's funny, Morrison's gotten beat 2 weeks in a row on like 2 of the most picture perfect drop passes right into guys' laps, and he's covering dudes like
hardest position to play in football right now. Tim, give me one word.
Oh, corner. It's like corner.
Right. That's it.
Quarterback. Yeah, against a quarterback. Drake May, that dude could throw the ball, man.
Yeah, he's good. Cam Hart. Yeah, that was bad, but to me, that's a coaching thing, and you don't do that again. He hasn't. I don't think Hart has had a great season.
Oh, very average. I mean,
but yeah, you hope it's a coaching thing.
I was going to say, as Goolsby says, every time I say average, he knows I'm saying bad. Cam Hart has not been good this year. I mean, seriously, he just hasn't.
Super chat from Paul. The defense has to learn to play for 60 minutes. They gave up 2 scores by being careless. I do believe they will get better because those stakes are easily cured. Yeah, Paul, that's basically what I was just saying. Yeah. But you got to do them. I mean, they could be easily cured, but it's something that you have to have translate from the practice field to the game.
Yeah, the Clarence Lewis one, that dude Mac Brown said he's got NFL guys all over the place. That guy's an NFL guy. He just ran by him. The Cam Hart one is just a joke, and they scored 2 touchdowns today on 4th down. So it's like, you got to finish the 4th downs, fellas. And the Cam Hart one is, I'm dying to hear what Golden says on Tuesday when he does his press conference. And if someone asked him, or if Freeman talks about it today. Just it was a letdown. What you had the drive chart? Was that UNC 3 straight touchdown drives?
Yes,
Straight, right?
at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's ridiculous because Notre Dame is in complete control, and you just given them life. It's kind of embarrassing. This football game should have easily been 52-20. That's the way it should have been. But hey, a win's a win, and the way they finished it, and defense is not solid over the course of 60 minutes. They played their tails off. They did. They were playing lights out, controlling the game, and just chilled at the end. It's frustrating.
All right, because I've seen this 50 times. Where's Merriweather? He was on the sideline.
He got in.
So many players. He got it? There's so many players that you can ask. Where's Colsey? I don't know. I think the coach will play him when.
So let me ask you this. So this has been a hot. It's a hot topic in the last 150 years of Notre Dame football. Why aren't the freshmen playing? Right? I don't know, because there's guys that are 3-4 years ahead of them. That's why. I get it. Why aren't the freshmen playing? I get it, but at the same time, yeah, coach speak, and you've heard this, and I know people are frustrated. Well, if the coach's job to get him ready. The dude just showed up a couple months ago. Let's get that straight. He just showed up. And in the system that they're running, if there's some checks and stuff like that, and he hasn't gotten them all, stuff happens. I get it. But they are not a passing offense. Can he get in there and throw a hitch? Sure. But they're obviously going with the couple guys being Styles, Lindsey, and Thomas. Thomas is just an 11th man out there. I think you put in our notes for tonight, and can Merriweather be the 11th man out there? Is it just a
Thomas got in there a little bit. Thomas
and they threw the first deep pass of in the last 2 games with Pine was to him. So where's Merriweather? He's gonna play. He did play today. He played last week. He got in the field for a couple reps. So the offensive line took over. The backs took over. Pine was efficient in the underthrows. Yeah. He's throwing to the best tight end in the country. Merriweather is going to be around. So
yeah, two thoughts, and then we're going to move on again, going back to unpopular opinions. I'm fine with having them. One, Notre Dame just put up 45 points and 576 yards. Why are we talking about Tobias Merriweather? It's not a thing for me. And do you trust the coaches? Do you trust the coaches? They see this guy every single day.
Listen,
hours and hours at practice. And then what? You just have a talking head that says, or a Twitter person just says, oh, he needs to play more. Based on what? Recruiting rankings? All these guys are pretty much recruited or ranked pretty highly. Maybe sans the walk-on, but quick thoughts, and then we got to get to
my 30-second commercial on this is Freeman, as I've been talking about the last couple of weeks with guys on the message board, the blue and gold message board here, is Marcus Freeman is trying to get a second contract, okay? He's trying to get a second contract at Notre Dame. He's going to play the guys that are going to help him get that second contract. And that second contract means he's winning. They're going out there, they're winning ball games. He's developing these guys, and they're moving forward winning games. And that is what he's thinking. So he's thinking long-term. Some of these guys have played. Are they playing as much as we think? No. Yeah. But they are out there playing. So
yeah.
Go for there.
Yeah, well, the argument is, you need to play the young recruits or you're going to lose them. Eli Raridan played a ton and actually played really well, Tim. Holden Stay started.
Yes.
Ben Morrison started. Jaden Mickey played a ton. If you want to go to sophomores, look at the running backs, look at the linebackers, look at your bookend tackles. So anywho. Tom, appreciate the super chat. He says, I think today proved Notre Dame can still have a tremendous season. BYU will be a big game. If you beat them, we have real momentum going with Pine. Thanks for the great coverage of Notre Dame football. Tom, definitely appreciate the super chat. What do you think about this one, Tim?
Oh, exactly, Tom. You beat BYU. If you have the schedule handy, it's going to be, you beat BYU. They're going to be, what will they be? 6-2?
I got you, Tim.
6-2 against Clemson. They're not going to lose. You beat BYU, they're not going to lose. They're going to beat Stanford.
Tim, it's a great time to plug our Wednesday live show because I'm sure we'll do an updated season record prediction because that's what we do every single week.
Yes.
But yeah, for folks who might have just joined recently, please hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're new here. We post a ton of Notre Dame football coverage, whether you like long form shows like this one. We'll be live on Sunday night with Mike Goolsby. Really looking forward to that one. Wednesday night show with the two of us, again, kind of talking about reflections on the last game and then previewing what's next, which we'll get to talk about a bye week, which will be fun.
Yes.
Recruiting show on Thursday. We'll go about 30 to 40 minutes with myself and Trey Yanity, and then a lot of short content, 10 minutes here, reaction on stuff, press conference videos. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and all the recruiting coverage of Notre Dame football at blueandgold.com. It is just $1 for your first year of access. But yeah, Tim, going back to that schedule, you got BYU, Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse, 4 very winnable games.
Yes.
But Syracuse, they're tough. They look tough this season so far.
Yeah, I've just seen a couple of their scores, but they had a last second win against somebody a week ago. I don't know how they did today. God, I haven't seen any games today outside of I watched a little of Michigan and just a hair of that Clemson. I only watched Clemson the first half a little bit, but Notre Dame should be 6-2. Clemson did a double OT, I know, against Wake. So they got NC State, I believe, next week. They beat NC State. Clemson's going to be 8-0 coming into South Bend. So if Notre Dame's 6-2, they're obviously going to be in the top 20. So they'll be back in the top 20, top 5 Clemson there. And now we got through one Super Bowl was Cal. Super Bowl 2 was North Carolina. Now we're going to Super Bowl 3 with Namath versus the Colts. Is the BYU game. So yeah, the next one's going to be the biggie. So you beat them as we're talking here. You're going to be 6-2. Clemson's going to be intense. Obviously they didn't play any D today, but they played offense today. The DJ had 5 touchdowns I saw. So
yeah,
that's going to be a battle. Let's beat BYU and let's keep this mojo going.
So BYU is playing. Who did I just was reading it? Wyoming tonight. Okay. Stanford plays Washington. And Syracuse, Tim, is 4-0 with wins against Louisville, Connecticut, Purdue, and they beat Virginia on Friday nights, 22-20. And then UNLV is 2-1 and is currently beating Utah State 14-7 as we record this.
Gotcha.
And yeah, of course, UNLV lost to Cal by 6. So yeah, no cakewalks here. UNLV shouldn't, but neither should Marshall and Toledo last year. So,
but they had those, right? They had that Toledo game in Raleigh. They had the Marshall. The Marshall one was a loss. Toledo was an inch away from blowing that thing, and they won it. So they pulled that one out. They didn't pull out Marshall. Yeah, and they've regrouped. Syracuse. I mean, they should beat Syracuse. It's going to be tough at the Carrier Dome. That place is going to be rocking. But they're not. I mean, you just read off their scores. They beat Virginia 22-20. I think Notre Dame could hang with those two teams.
ND Nation says blessing in disguise. Pine getting a chance.
He's the next man in. It's going back to what we talked about to open the show. Next man in. They know who he is. They're building the offense around him. They're doing the things that he's very successful with, and he's completing 70% of his passes in the last 2 games. He was 70% last year against Wisconsin. In some of 70% in the underthrows, and that's really what they've stuck to this year. So, busting in disguise, I would say yes, in that they've just opened the offense up is what they've done. It seemed like it was just run, and then they stunk against Marshall. And I really think they've opened up the offensive line has just really, really blossomed since those first 2 games. But I think a lot of it is also the running style, and they're running some more counters as well with the Y counters. I call it, the tight end and the guard pulling together. More of that than we saw in the first 2 games.
So, Tim, how concerned are you with the defense moving forward? They had been pretty good through a couple of games, and then today, not so much. It was really just the big plays, right? You only give up 66 rushing yards. Drake May, 17 of 32. If I would have told you that before the game, you would have taken that. Big ones, yes. For 301 yards and 5 touchdowns, no picks. But the scrambling, he was running at will. He was, Drake Vick for the first, couple of series. Right? And then they kind of simmered him down a little bit running the ball. But yeah, it just seems like clean up those big plays and the defense should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you said, hey, they're going to hold May to basically 50%, I think we would have been like, yeah, Notre Dame's going to win going away. So, and that's how the game was outside of some, fades that they got beat, which is just, that's what's so frustrating is they're two corners that have started multiple years. It just got torched for 14 points on this scoreboard right here. So the defense has held the points down, right? They did that against the Buckeyes. They only gave up 19 against Marshall. Let's don't forget. And obviously what they did against Cal, holding them to 17. NC is explosive. All those wide receivers are going to be in the NFL. Drake May is going to be a draft choice. That dude's only a redshirt freshman, correct?
Yep.
So he's good. That guy is a legit NFL quarterback. And no, they're good. It's frustrating. But at the end of the day, Mike, man, if we talked on Wednesday night show and you're like, hey, Tim, I think Notre Dame's going to win 45-32. That's what they're telling me. I'm like, let's take it. Let's get the hell out of Chapel Hill and take it.
Any win.
Because they're so dynamic and so electric. Carolina had not played a team like North Carolina. We talked about this. Had not been hit by a team like Notre Dame. And Notre Dame did hit them. Just got beat over the top on some things. And that's frustrating moving down the road because that's what we've talked about for 9 months. That was the weakness of this team was the DB play, and it got exposed today.
All right, Tim, a couple comments about the bye week from earlier in the show. Kirk says, what are we going to do during the bye week? Watch our shows at Blue and Gold. We will still have plenty to discuss. And Michael says, do you think the bye week comes at a good time? I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say, Tim, because we've just been talking about it as well. The bye week is what it is. Like, what will the vibe be if they win or lose? But I haven't thought about this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. Do they, would they rather fly back, land in the South Bend tonight? At midnight, 1 a.m, whatever the heck it is.
Going.
Yeah. Oh, let's keep the momentum going, or is it? Yeah, let's just take a deep breath, guys. I mean, it's been nonstop craziness since December 15th. I mean, I don't even know the date Freeman got hired, 10th or whatever the heck it is. I mean, seriously, Mike, right? It has been wild, nonstop social media whirlwind, 1 billion interviews by Freeman between December and going into that first game and having to answer 1,000 questions about playing Ohio State. And then you get upset, fire Freeman. I mean, there's a website out there. It's like fire all these guys already that are going on. And it's like, man, let's just take a deep breath. I like the bye now. I think it fits perfectly because they start 0-2 and now you're 2-2. It just feels like a great time to take a pause. We know who we're at. We've started 2 quarterbacks this season. And it feels like a really good shot, especially if Freeman's got his plan, which I really like his plan of we're going to practice 4 days this week. And then they're going to be out on the road recruiting next week. Freeman's saying all you clowns are going to football games somewhere. So go out there and do that. I think it's great because I think it could be a pause because of just the energy. It's been, darn well, Mike, it has been a circus atmosphere around Notre Dame for a long time. So let's take a pause. Let's relax. Let's get back to fundamentals. And let's get our butts to 6-2 getting into Clemson. I don't think they're thinking 6-2, but you know what I mean. Let's get going here. And I kind of like it. I kind of like where it's at right now. The way the season has flowed, it feels like a really good time to have a bye.
All right. Dukes did break after the game in Marcus Freeman's press conference. Kevin Bauman tore an ACL, just a really tough break for him. This is something that happened. Was it during the game last week or was it early in practice this week? But this was at least several days ago. So Bauman is out, and you see a lot more of Eli Raridan. Holden stays moving forward. Davis Sherwood in that H-back role, and do believe that Kane Brong will should get in there at some point as another pass catching option as well at the tight end position. So yeah, head to blueandgold.com. Guys, so much coverage of Notre Dame football, of recruiting, and you just go to the site. $1 for 1 year. You click it. You punch in some stuff, and you're rolling. You're on our message board. I mean, look, if we go to the loose emoji board, I mean, there's a lot of ball to talk.
Love it. Seriously.
So head to the website, get in there, give your opinions. People are going to argue with you, but it'll be fun. And you get to read all the insight from our staff, myself, Tim, Patrick Angle, Tyler Horka, Todd Burlage, great group at Blue and Gold. So that will do it for this video today. Please do hit the thumbs up before we get out of here. Subscribe to our channel, Mike Goolsby Show, Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe I'll check with Goolsby, but if you just go to our YouTube channel tomorrow, you'll see a scheduled post for it. But that is going to do it for this show. Appreciate everyone, and we'll catch you next time.